Okay.
We are live. Good
Yeah, but
evening.
there should be a delay. I have to refresh on YouTube. And here we go. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay on YouTube, so
Oh, okay.
and I had to refresh it, so it didn't want to. It wasn't. It was said waiting for me on YouTube, and but it looks like so
Oh,
far it's just the two of us. I think we had. It looked like maybe we had one other person around that was lurking, but it says only one person watching now. I don't know what's going on. So
oh. Well, I've got it on my tablet here, um, but there is a delay.
yeah. So Largo's layers here. Welcome, Largo. Let's see. Welcome, Largo's layer, and greetings to you.
Aha. Hello, sir.
And you were telling me in private chat on Facebook that you didn't get any more toys this week. That you got some
Yeah,
reference
no.
books and some.
Yeah, I didn't get any toys this week. Just some DVDs and some books. Um,
Hmm,
Very exciting books, though.
any horror
Um,
related?
no, no, not really. Um, I got a few DVDs. I guess I'll get into that. The first one I bought was the Deadwood first season of Deadwood, because I'd heard good things about it, and I was in the mood for some Western action, so I picked up first season of Deadwood. I've watched about 6 or 7 episodes now, and it's quite good. There's a lot of swearing in it, but yeah, it was all right so far. I'm quite into it. So yeah, that was the first purchase, and then I got the second season. I don't know how many seasons there are, but I found these cheaply in my local charity shop, so I picked them up. They're both new, um, and yeah, so I've got the second season of Deadwood there to crack on with when I once I've watched the first one. I don't know how many discs this one has. One, two, three, four discs in this one. Um, yeah, I was quite impressed with that so far. It's been all right. It's nicely shot. Good story. So yeah. So there were the first two things that I got. The next thing that I picked up was the first three Resident Evil films. So I got the Resident Evil trilogy. That's got Resident Evil Afterlife, and Resident Evil Extinction. I don't think I've seen the third one. But there's quite a few of these now, and I've got some of the later ones on DVD. But I didn't actually own the first three, so that was a nice little pickup. Again in the charity shop, nice and cheap. And then this is a bit of a guilty pleasure. I picked up the 2 disc version of Van Helsing. I know it's not a great film. It's pretty bad really, but I haven't seen it for quite a while, and as this was the 2 disc edition and it cost me £1, I thought I'll go for that. You know, I mean that's what, about £1.25, something like that. Um, so I figured that was okay. All of my purchases this week, apart from one, have been from the charity shop. Um, I got a really good bargain in the charity shop, which was this, and it's the Star Wars
Oh,
uh,
that is so
new
cool.
new edition book, and it goes right from the prequel trilogy through the main trilogy up to the Rise of Skywalker. So all 9 films are covered. and it also covers the Rebels TV animated show and the Clone Wars animated show, and it comes in this nice box. If I can pull it out, it comes in a nice. So this is a sturdy kind of box thing that it comes in, and it's it's what you would expect, really. It's got loads of information about the characters, the creatures, the vehicles, the locations. It's got absolutely everything in it. Anything that you could possibly want. It's got concept drawings in places, lots of information about the weapons. It's even got a section. Here you can see Han's dice. It's got a little bit about the dice that Han Solo wore, that were hanging in the Falcon. Really good book, and I think in the shop they didn't know what this should be worth, because I got this for £2.95, which I looked up in dollars. That is $3.75.
Yeah, and Lester has a question for you in the chat. He's asking if charity shops are those the same as thrift shops in the USA?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah,
and we've got somebody joining us. Retro Toy Guy Sai is going to be joining us on camera.
Hey.
Hi, Retro
guys. Hello.
Hey, Sai.
Hey, man. How are you doing,
buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
We're doing good. I'm pleased because I found this Star Wars book for £2.95 in the charity shop.
That is a bargain of the century.
I know.
Sir.
It's really heavy, and the recommended retail price is £35. So quite why they had that up for £2.95, I don't know. But as soon as I saw that, it was that's coming home with me. I'm having that.
Yeah, someone missed a trick there, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
It looks like it's in really good condition as well. Like no one's ever read it.
Oh no, it's brand new. I mean, it's absolutely perfect. So for £3, that's all the reference I could need for Star Wars. It's got absolutely everything in it, even the standalone movies, Solo and Rogue One. Okay. So it's got absolutely everything in it. Yeah, can't argue with that. $3.75. Brilliant.
Oh, it's your lucky day.
What have you been up to this week, Si? What's been floating your boat this week?
I had a few weeks ago. I rearranged my collection, and I put in. I actually said I had space for 4 more figures, and what should I get? And they came in today, so I have my 4 figures here to show.
Excellent!
So the first figure I got was this guy.
Cool. I always
have that guy.
Hold on, Tim's going a bit crazy. What are you doing, Tim?
I'm trying to readjust my camera, because just the way I had it set up, you couldn't see my face and head well enough, so I wanted to be on the same level as you two. Is you're sitting down on
motion sickness. I was going to be sick. You were giving me motion sickness there.
I'm sorry.
Can you make Si big so that we can see his figures that you got?
Let me see if there's a setting for that. Yeah, there should be a setting.
I'm fine being small.
No, that makes me big. No, that doesn't.
Go on, Tim. You can get there. You can get there.
Okay. Yeah, this is still. This still takes some time to figure out. This. Yeah, it doesn't want to. It doesn't want to let me make him big. I don't think. Let me change.
Tim, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm
Tim?
playing around with this. I've got to figure this sucker out. Yeah, this doesn't want it. It'll make me big, but I can't. Oh, here we go. Solo Lego.
There we go.
Now you can show us. You can show us
Okay,
a
let's
bit
have a look.
more.
Okay,
Let's have a look.
so I'm going to start. I have this guy here.
Nice.
It's a Scout Walker driver,
Cool. Cool.
and I picked up this guy.
Num.
Nope.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've got him.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I got this guy.
Hi, Jason.
Oh,
And that was
yeah,
one of the
That's
first
at
figures I ever got when I was a kid.
ATST driver.
Yeah,
yeah.
I never
This
had.
is,
I never had his
this is the
vehicle. But I had,
commander, and because I couldn't resist.
yeah, you
Haha.
got to get Boba Fett.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
in nice condition.
Yeah, and I got him for a nice price as well.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was
he's
not.
nice.
He was obviously more expensive than the other three, but
Yeah.
yeah, he wasn't
Oh,
crazy
nice.
expensive. Only he doesn't. He didn't come with a gun, so
Oh, well, that's
Yeah,
not
that
the
was
end
the
of the
only
world.
thing.
He's
No.
at least his armor and stuff is in pretty good condition. He hasn't got much
Yeah.
paint rub.
No, he has a really nice. Yeah, there's a little
Oh,
bit on his
cool.
helmet and a little bit on his armor, but it's Boba
Yeah.
Fett. He's and they're
Oh,
not
cool.
sticky. None of them were sticky either. So
Oh, good.
I was really happy. Really happy to get those guys. And they were all
Nice.
childhood,
I
all
have
figures that I
four.
had in childhood. So
Did you
that's
get
what
your
I've.
when you had nine as a child? Did you send away for him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a send away figure. So it came in a little cardboard box, and I
Yeah.
believe I had yeah, one of the bounty hunters, Dengar, also was a send away figure.
Okay. I remember sending off for the Emperor and Nine Num.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never had the Emperor. I almost bought a retro collection Emperor when I was in England
Uh-huh.
the other week. They had one in HMV for £12 or something.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I never had one when I was a kid, so it kind of breaks the rules. And yeah, and I have to have rules, otherwise I'll go crazy and I will just buy everything.
You'll
I
break
also
that
have
rule one day.
yeah, well, I have a wife that stops me from breaking the rules.
Yeah, you'll either have a wife, or if you're single, you'll have a girlfriend, or you'll still be living at home, or you'll have
Yeah.
mother will say, "Oh no, we don't get any more. We don't have room for all that."
Oh, you
I
have
have
bank
none of those
account
things.
limitations.
I have none of those things. I live on my own. I don't have a wife or a girlfriend, and my cat doesn't care how many toys I buy.
Yeah, well, she'll want room though, probably.
Yeah. As long as you feed her, she's good, huh? But
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
also opened my collection and got someone out to say hello to you, especially for you, Monkey
Oh,
Boy.
please. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that
Hello.
Hello, Andrex puppy.
Yeah. Now
Fantastic.
he does have a name. He has a very creative name. He's Puppy.
Oh. Oh,
And
he's
he has
my
his special
hero.
and he has this lovely red jumper and special trousers that my mother made for him. These were actually an outfit for a teddy bear to make a Winnie the Pooh. So this used to
Oh,
say
brilliant.
Pooh on it. And then when I was a teenager, I put everything on Puppy and I took the H off the Pooh. So it was P-O-O. So he was a naughty punk puppy then. But he has to wear it
Excellent.
because when I was younger, I hugged him so much, all his fur came off.
Oh my goodness. That's some
So
real hug damage. Goodness me. He's been well hugged.
he has been well hugged over the years. So
Oh,
he has a nice little jumper to keep him warm. And I know you like
oh,
the cuddlies, so
yeah.
thought I'd give him a screen debut.
Oh, oh, it's really nice to see
Oh,
Puppy. Jason's saying hello to Puppy as well. Hello, Puppy.
hello,
And
Jason.
Hotspur says that is fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh,
Oh, I'm glad he made an appearance. Oh, that's made my evening.
oh, good, good. So
Oh,
yeah, and that is everything for now. So
okay.
you can make me small again, Tim.
Okay, let me
Click
see
again.
where it was solo. I had to click exit solo layout. Now I need to fix us to where
That's
now
quite good.
there's
That's
all
quite
three.
lovely. Oh,
There we go. That looks a little bit better.
okay, cool. The other thing that I got this week is absolutely amazing, and I won't go into it too much because I'm going to do a video purely on this. But I picked up the Ghostbusters Ultimate Visual History book. Now this
Okay.
is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. There's 100 and let's have a look. 100 and no, tell a lie. 220 something pages. It covers the first two films, Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2. But it's got absolutely everything you could want. It covers the toys as well, and real Ghostbusters. It's got concept art, and
Oh
throughout the
wow.
whole book, it's got these sections. I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is like a
Oh,
laminate. It's like a cell
they were
from the
like filmed.
cartoon.
Yeah, film
Yeah,
Yeah, it's an
cells. Yeah.
animation cell.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not an original one, but it's like a reproduction of one. But throughout the whole book, um, it has these. Let me see if I can find another one. Hang on, let me just flick through.
Oh,
Um,
Monkeyboy, don't forget about your pie. You got that pie in the oven,
oh,
so
I've got a pie in the oven. Yeah, I'll better go and check
yeah,
that in a second.
yeah. Don't
Let
let
me
it
just
burn.
find this. Thanks for reminding me, Tim. Hang on, let me see if I can find this. Throughout the whole book, it's got these little inserts that flip out like this. It's got the Terror Dog pictures, and it's got some concept artwork, and it's got a bit that you
Oh
can flip
wow.
out. But the whole book is full of these little flip out bits. There's a really good one. There's one here in the middle, which is the storyboards for the Sedgwick Hotel scene, and that's like an extra little booklet that you get inside. So this is a really fantastic book, and I'm gonna do a video on this soon, looking
Yeah.
through the whole thing. Well, not the whole thing, but looking through in a bit more depth. But that's a really good buy. So
So is
it
that?
can
Did you
still be.
buy? Sorry, did you buy that new, or did you find that in a charity shop also for a couple of
I
pounds?
bought that. I bought that new on eBay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Um, but it was a great price. Right, let me just quickly go and check my pie. I'll be back in a moment.
Okay. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
Not done yet.
Hator, if you're asking about the real Ghostbusters line, that was one action figure line I wasn't really into.
Pie's not done
Yeah.
yet. I'm going to have to get up again in another 5 minutes.
Okay.
It's not golden brown yet.
What pie you having there, mate?
Well, I went blackberry picking yesterday, so it's actually a blackberry crumble rather than
Ooh,
a pie. But
Oh, so it's homemade
nice.
then. You just didn't go out and buy a pie that you could bake. You just made it homemade. So it's
well, half
fresh.
and half. I picked the blackberries, but I used a mix for the top. So I just poured that on the top and flattened it all down. So half and half. I don't generally do baking or cooking or anything like that. So, but I'm happy to pick fruit and put it in a dish.
Okay.
And I do like
Well,
blackberries.
got to start somewhere.
Yeah, Largo, that is a really good book. It's absolutely fantastic. It's I think it's from 2015. It's from Titan Books, and it can be picked up on eBay. I'm assuming Largo is from the States, so I'm not sure how available it is out there. But it's called Ghostbusters: The Ultimate Visual History, and it is absolutely amazing. When I bought it, I didn't know that it had all those inserts in it and all the fold out parts. I had no idea. I just thought it was going to be a fairly comprehensive book about Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I didn't know that the cartoon series would be in there, and I think there's some of the toys and stuff are in there as well. I didn't know that was going to be there. It's even got the Extreme Ghostbusters featured in there, so it's fairly comprehensive up to 2015. It's got the expanded Ghostbusters universe in there, but I was very struck by the quality of the images and the pictures that are involved. They're they're really good. You've got concept art here for Slimer. Absolutely loads of stuff. There was one really cool bit. If I see if I can find it. I mean, there's so many good images in here. A photo of the explosion on the top of the building at the end. Great images throughout the whole book. It's very, very nicely done. We even get a nice close up of the ghost that Ray was dreaming of, which you don't see very often. Excellent picture there of the. I believe this is. Let's have a look. This is the sculpt that they used for the library ghost. It's absolutely fantastic. But I just wanted to see if I can.
What happened?
Oh.
Monkeyboy,
no.
what happened to you?
Sorry.
Oh, hey, come back.
Yeah,
What?
you
You dropped out for a bit.
yeah, you dropped out for some reason. I don't know why.
Dropped out. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, now I got you back on solo. Your camera went out, and for some reason you were buffering.
Oh, okay. Yeah, here, if you look, there's a picture here of the slime blower pack, and it's actually a laminate, so you can lift up the laminate and
cool.
see it, and then it overlays with the with all the information about what the various parts are. So I was completely blown away when I flicked through this book, because I was not expecting it to have all these elements to it, and I would imagine that all these have been stuck in by hand. I don't see a way that a machine could do this. So all of these little inserts have been, I assume, hand stuck into them, and you can still look at what's underneath just by opening them up. So I'm not sure why they made that creative decision, to be honest, to do that, because they could have just put more pages in the book and had those sections on their own pages. But I think it's a really nice touch, and I've never seen a book that's had things like this in it before. Sometimes you see a book that's got the gate folds where you fold out the whole pages, and that's been done a number of times, but I've never seen anything quite like this. So if you're into your Ghostbusters, then I really do recommend this book. It's absolutely fantastic. It's got a nice embossed or not embossed, raised symbol on the front here, and all the letters are raised up. It's really nicely done. A very, very nicely produced book. So yeah, Ghostbusters: The Ultimate Visual History, and that was published in 1915 in 2015. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really cool book, man. You're on a
Yeah,
real
it is.
Ghostbusters ride at the moment.
I am. Yeah, I was looking on my channel, actually, just flicking through the thumbnails, and I realized that the last, oh goodness knows how many thumbnails have got the Ghostbusters symbol on. So yeah, it does appear that I'm on a bit of a Ghostbusters groove at the moment.
Yeah. And have you seen the girly Ghostbusters yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet. I do own it because I found it for £1 in the charity shop. So I thought, well, it's got to be worth £1. But I haven't actually watched it yet. So
I would
let
actually
you know.
recommend it. It was I watched it. I thought it was a good movie. It actually had one of the funniest scenes for a long time. It just really made me laugh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with what's his name? Chris, the guy who
Chris
plays
Hemsworth.
Thor. Yeah, Hemsworth. Yeah, Yeah, he's
okay.
really, really funny in that movie. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, I haven't heard anything good about it until now, so um,
Oh.
so yeah, I'll take that on your advice. I shall watch that soon.
Check it out. Don't expect it to be like the best movie ever made, but
I'm definitely
it's
not
not.
expecting that.
I don't.
I suppose
I just
if
I
if
don't
I
think
go
it's as
into
bad
it
as
hating it,
everyone says.
oh, okay.
You
Well, if I
enjoy
go
hating
into
it.
it
Okay.
expecting to be disappointed, I might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I went into the last Indiana Jones movie, and I was pleasantly
Yeah,
surprised. So
yeah. Okay. Well, that'll probably be out on streaming services before too long, won't it? That'll be on Disney soon, I would think.
yeah, yeah. That's also Disney's problem, man. They don't give it. If you know it's going to be streaming within 3 months or 2 months, why go to the cinema?
Yeah,
Or if you have Disney, obviously.
yeah.
I did see the new Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, how
Saw
was
that
that?
during the week. That was surprisingly really good. I'm
Oh,
not a
okay.
massive Top Gun fan, but I'd heard good things about it. And yeah, story wise, it's a bit more okay, but just visually, it just the way they filmed it with the action with Tom Cruise in the planes, and yeah, it's amazing. It's really
Okay.
worth
Where did you
checking
see
out.
that?
I got it on Blu-ray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been yeah, it came out last year at the cinema, and I was meaning to see it. My father-in-law was actually in the Air Force, and so he
Oh,
went twice to see it, but I never got a chance to get
Oh,
out and go and see it.
oh, well, I'll give
yeah,
that a
my
go.
dad was in the Air Force. Oh, sorry, Monkey Boy.
No, you're all right. You say your dad was in the Air Force, mine too.
Oh, what a
Oh,
coincidence.
yeah, yeah. My father was an
So,
engineer in
oh,
the
cool.
RAF.
Okay. So, did you then end up traveling all around everywhere, different air bases,
No,
or was he in one
no.
place?
This was before I was born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I was a child, my father had a toy shop.
Oh my God, the
But more
dream.
about that in a minute. Let me just go and check my pie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
don't let it burn.
And Tim, your father was also a pilot in the family?
Uh, I think my dad was more of a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
The pie is looking good. Yeah, no,
Oh,
my father owned a toy shop when I was probably about four. I must have been between the ages of 4 and 6 or something like that. So it was when I was very young. But I would often go to the toy shop, but I didn't know it was my dad's toy shop. I had no idea. To me, it was just a toy shop. And I would hang out there. And I think that's the reason why I like toys in package, why I prefer to display them in the box or on the card, is because when I was a kid, that's how I saw a lot of toys in the shop. And to me, an action figure on a card is more exciting than when it's open, because when it's in the box or on the card, there's an element um, of promise to it, and anticipation and excitement to see it. And you obviously you want
yeah.
to rip it open, but I was in the toy shop, so I saw all these things hanging on the pegs. Um, and I think that really left an impression on me, because when I started to collect, I found that I had I had an immediate aversion to opening them. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to give you guys a visual of how
Yeah,
they look
exactly.
fresh on the
Um,
card.
and see, I wouldn't open. I know you open yours, Tim, don't you? But I
Yeah,
wouldn't open them. I would leave them on the card, because to me they're more exciting on the card than they are once you take them out. It's okay. You can get to touch them and play with them, but obviously, I mean, I'm 45 years old now. I'm not going to play with toys, so for me, leaving them in in the box or on the card, it just, that really does it for me, you know. That's, and I
Yeah, I
guess that's
like a
because
lot of.
I'm all the time in the toy shop.
I find with the modern day stuff, I quite like the artwork, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you had the retro collection stuff, and the packaging was so crap that it didn't really bother me to open them at all.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
vintage collection Star Wars stuff, that's really nice on the card backs. I've been looking at the yes,
Yeah. There's one.
see, I probably wouldn't open that because I think it displays better. Only I don't have the room to display stuff on card.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, but you've got quite a nice display setup though. See, I don't have any detolfs or anything like that, so most of my stuff is either on shelves or kind of just stacked up in the boxes. I suppose that's the advantage to keeping things in the box, is I can kind of stack them up. It doesn't look great
Mhm.
on display, but if I had all my stuff loose, I would only have half the collection that I've got now, because actually, in a weird way, displaying stuff loose can actually sometimes take up more space than if it's in the box. Um,
Yeah.
for example, all my Motu Origins figures that I've got, and the Super 7 Motu figures that I've got them all in display cases, and they all stand up on top of one another. So I've got an entire wall in my bedroom that's completely Motu figures, because I'm able to stack them up. Now, if I were to take them out of their box, out of the blister bubbles, I don't know where I would put them, because you can't stack them up.
Yeah. 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 It's a tricky one, but I just like looking at them loose, and then yeah, I have the luxury of having these IKEA display cases,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
a bit of space to be able to put them in. And I also have
yeah.
another display case downstairs in my living room
Oh,
that's
cool.
similar
What's in
to
that one?
that one on the corner, which is then full of Playmobil. Yeah, yeah. So you
Oh,
can just
wicked.
see there behind me. This case here, I have another one similar to that, but
Right.
more sort of a retro feel to it. Still from IKEA, but I
Okay.
have
And
my Playmobil, James Bond, and Knight Rider, and Back to the Future in there, and a whole load of
oh,
James Bond
cool,
cars because I do like the
cool.
James Bond cars. I even have my
What did you think of the what? Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
Um,
Moonraker.
yeah.
what did you think of the Knight Rider Playmobil set in terms of the finish on the car? Were you disappointed that it was a matte finish and not a gloss one?
Yeah, that was a bit of a strange one, but really, it didn't bother me that much. I found
Right.
the Back to the Future DeLorean, the plastic they made that out of, it kind of that had a worse kind of feel to it, like it had just been poured and it had all lines still in the plastic.
Oh,
I could have
like
done better.
marbling and stuff.
Yeah, marbling, yeah. Whereas the James Bond Aston Martin is perfect. It's beautiful. Only the only thing that gets me is that the doors don't open. But
Yeah,
I've said that before.
yeah, yeah. You do like your doors to open, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the only one that should be welded shut is the General Lee.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I don't think we're going to get one of them though, sadly. I mean, I suppose Playmobil could produce one and leave the Confederate flag off the top, and then you could perhaps buy a sticker from a third party vendor
Hmm.
to put the sticker on the top. But I don't see them producing a General Lee with a
No,
Confederate flag on it.
it's a bit tricky nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a bit strange.
yeah, and
But
I'd love one. I
they're
would love
bringing
a
out,
General Lee.
yeah. Well, they're bringing out a Magnum PI, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm tempted by that. I am a fan of Tom Selleck and the Tash,
yeah.
but Yeah. But
I do.
they've really been doing some really good stuff for Playmobil. What I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'm actually waiting for for them to do another James Bond one. I hope that they bring out the Lotus, the white Lotus from The Spy Who Loved Me. I think that would
Okay.
be awesome as a Playmobil if they could somehow design it that it turns into the submarine also. So
Yeah.
my fingers crossed that they're gonna bring that one out. And I don't have the Ghostbusters Playmobil. I thought about it, but I just don't have the space for it. They're just too
Right.
big. The same as the 18 one. I don't have the 18 van. Although I thought
Yeah.
about it. The thing
Yeah.
that gets me is the with the Ghostbusters is the sound. You covered it on your video, and when
Yeah.
you press the button, and it makes the authentic movie sound, and it's like, oh yeah, that gets me. I've got to have that. I've got to have that. But then, yeah, I would just put it in the cupboard, and then you're not pressing the button. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with mine. I've put both my Ecto One Playmobiles back in the box now, and it's just stacked up with all the other Playmobil stuff because I don't have the room at the moment. Um, I was hoping maybe this year um, to change my spare bedroom into a display room because at the moment
okay,
I've got a big double bed in there and various chests of drawers and things like that. But I mean, there's only me in the house. I don't really have guests over. I don't need a spare room to be a spare bedroom. So I think I'm going to get rid of the bed in there um, and change it into a display room for all my DVDs and some toys. Um, not, I mean, I wouldn't get all my toys in there, but I could certainly use that space a bit more proactively. I think rather than because I never go in there at the moment. There's no need for me to go in there. So if I can change that into a display room, that might be quite nice.
We have
hey,
Lester San Jose joining
Lester,
us now.
Hello, Lester.
Howdy guys,
hello.
how are y'all
How you
doing?
doing, man?
Yeah, good man.
How are you getting on with your Bruce Lee video?
Well, I've teased it in certain videos I did push to my channel that I might have to re-record it because I flipped between landscape and portrait
Oh,
orientations. I have, but they're separate videos, so I just need to figure out when I try to stitch them. Am I going to have to do a little bit more work than I want to just to
right.
make sure that they look right at the end of the day? I don't
Yeah.
know if I got to shrink things or what, but I have all the pieces, and it's just a matter of seeing what I have to do during post production.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the
Cool.
thing that kills me is the editing. I can shoot a video in say an hour, shoot a video, but then just keep making like a ton of mistakes and then having to redo it again. And I shoot it now in segments, and I used to do like then afterwards it's sort of like a goof reel, but I don't bother doing that anymore. But it's just the editing and the hours and trying to and then all of a sudden you're almost done and the thing crashes and it doesn't save and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happened to me once, where for some reason I'd filmed the whole video, um, and when I went to process it, it said the file was corrupted. Don't know why,
Hmm.
don't know what the problem
Oh
was.
no.
I had to re-record the whole video, but luckily it's only happened once. But it's
What
the
are you,
editing that takes the time.
what program are you guys using to do your editing and your uh,
Um,
transcoding process?
I've got a simple phone app that I use. I do everything on my phone.
Okay.
I think it's called a UCut. But
Okay.
there's
I think I've
another
heard of
good
it.
one called VN, which
Okay.
is quite a good one to use.
All right.
No,
Oh, he
I'm always
dropped
gone.
out.
No,
Monkey
I
Boy,
use a film editing software called Film Fourth.
Okay.
It's a free one. You can just download it.
Welcome back,
but
Monkeyboy.
you end up with a watermark on it. So you have to. I think it was like to buy it was like €10 or something.
You
Yeah,
said it was
but-
called Film Fourth, so like go
Film
forth.
fourth, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll look into that. I've been a bit curmudgeonly because I do have Adobe, but I might just axe it because honestly, I don't get into it enough. Because the video I'm transcoding right now, I'm doing it on my Linux machine, which I'm in 95% of the time, 99% of the time, I'm in my Linux world. And I use the available programs for Linux, which are more plentiful than people realize. Just got to find the right one. So I use Cinelera as the name of the program, and I think they have a Windows port, Mac and Windows port, but I'm in Linux. I prefer that just because Linux isn't as popular, and because it's not as popular, I don't think there'll be many viruses written for a Linux user. So I'm working off of that, but I've used Linux since 2010 full time.
Okay.
Ah,
Yeah.
Cool.
But I just need to make sure, based on that program's ability, is my shrinking in the video, is it gonna affect the other video, which is in landscape? That's what I'm gonna toy with.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
yeah. Because portrait setting that's more. I think that's more for if you want to do just short videos.
Yeah,
Want to do
I
portrait?
realized that when I uploaded my portrait ones to YouTube, and they defaulted to being shorts.
yeah.
Yeah, and I had
Go
to
ahead.
use an extra soft. I had to download a free software called Mini Tool Movie Maker
Okay.
to do shorts for a while, just to get the portrait setting. But then I bought a full HD camera, and luckily that had the portrait setting already in there,
Right.
so I didn't have to keep using Mini Tool, which will charge you. They want you to subscribe to a premium membership with them
Right.
if you want to do videos longer in there, for longer than a minute.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that if I do keep the depends on the distribution being used. When I circled back to Linux in 2010, started out with Ubuntu because that was the name thrown around, and then circled back to Slackware even further because that was the name that was recommended, and they are the longest running distro as I understand it. That it's still traditional. It's got a mixture of the old Unix and Unix mindset built meshed with the Linux mindset, which though they one is based off the other, Linux off of Unix, but the Linux mentality is a lot more disorganized than Unix. There isn't a central hub that everyone looks to as the focal point. That's going to be up to the person who develops an individual distribution. And Ubuntu's got a community of people that kind of form that. But Slackware has a single guy, and it allows me to make my life difficult or easy, however I go about it. The video I'm transcoding right now, it's actually the resolution, the width is double that of 4K because I use both my monitors because I'm demonstrating the installation of a simple game using my specific distribution. Because it's not like Ubuntu's, which is here you go, here's what you got to get, and then it'll do the installation for you, and yay, everything's done. But I show what a traditional Linux user would do in a modern context because Slackware has all these mini groups, mini communities of users that will make the life much easier. Because in the Linux world, if you did it traditionally, you would compile your source code to build your program and libraries you need, and then you get the program you want. That's one thing I learned over the 10 years of using Linux, 13 years of using Linux. My particular distribution is such where you have to chase down the requirements of a program. Like, say, take a browser. It requires a certain number of libraries, and a lot of that is probably pre-packaged when you download and install it for Windows and Mac. Whereas Linux, you have to chase down those components you need in order to install your final product. So that's why I prefer it, because I learn what I put into my system, software-wise especially. So long story short.
Do you work with computers? Is that your or is it a hobby? Or...
I did back in the day, but somehow early on I realized if I pursued a career in IT, I'd be chasing paper, so taking tests, studying for tests.
Okay, yeah.
And no, I think my knowledge base is such where if I learn the little idiosyncrasies of the more particular technology, I could probably pick it up. But I haven't had to pick up a new hardware book. The Linux book I have is probably a 30-year-old book, because once you get the base foundation, you only need to learn. So watching Bleach, that's one anime I haven't watched, and I think if you guys follow Script Doctor, he mentioned in I think in the Midnight Edge stream, he mentioned that there are a lot of more. It was yesterday. He was talking about there are a lot more animes that are worse than the animes that are good, and he's kind of right, because there's only so many anime I like watching where I'm in my bubble. Like, this is what I'm good with. So I can't say anything about Bleach, but I was already into Dragon Ball. I was already getting into Macross, Robotech-ish, and especially with animation in America in the last 10, 15 years, I don't know what happened. Like, people forgot how to draw good art. I'm just going to say that much. Like, looking at all the new spin-offs of the Turtles, I don't know if I get depressed, but I get disappointed by every new aesthetic brought out. So the most recent Turtles that came out, I just go, looking at the animation alone, I'm not going to watch it, because the artwork is not for me. It's totally for a different audience. And one thing I know, working with kids, especially in a high school setting, and even just being around my niece who's 6, they just somehow know certain things that we can't put our fingers on. One of them is like, they know when something's not so good. You know, they just go, I don't know about that. Or they know what they like. So even when I was growing up, that artwork stuck out with me, especially the 80s anime. And yeah, there are some anime I watched, not completely. I did watch, what is that? Not Sword Art, but what's this one? Some guy with a sword. It was like a sword game, a sword series, and it's a combination of CGI and flat animation. Some can pull it off well, like the Dragon Ball Super. It was still pretty much updated 2D art, but it had some CGI in there that kind of fit. I don't like when things get overly CGI'd, like Gundam Unicorn and the latest Ultraman they showed on Netflix. I still don't know what I feel about that, and that can distract from the story. And so that's my main thing nowadays, is like, as long as the art is passable, I prefer a better story. Hate to say it, I hate to say it, but a lot of things that I've watched, even when I watched MI7, I haven't finished what I needed to do for that, because I'm starting to realize I liked MI7 because of what I've seen so far has been so bad. It's like I'm saying MI7 in contrast was much better than the stuff I've seen or heard about when it comes to newer movies. When I watched the original MI, and I did watch Ghost Protocol, and I felt like I didn't need to watch the others, but I was recommended to watch the series in sequence. I'm still not done watching MI2, which I know from all retrospect talk, it's the worst. So I'm sitting through that, but I'm about to say until I watch 5 and 6, none of the remaining installments likely will not be the psychological cat and mouse that was in the original film, because it wasn't as action oriented. Whereas I get it, the audience, I suppose they want the action, but it doesn't touch the original MI just for what it is.
The original was more of a spy thriller, and now it's just an action event. What is Tom Cruise going to do as a stunt, basically? Is what the latest ones are about. I haven't seen MI7, but I did enjoy 5 and 6.
That's what people were saying when I looked at Retro Blasting's Patreon, and Tim might have seen it, but there was a ranking by one poster saying, here are the installments that are best from top to bottom, and number 1 was number 1, and then 6 and 5 followed after that. So I was just joking in halfway, hey, I'm going to watch in that order. Because, of course, I needed to rewatch the first one. And yeah, there are things you can see in the first one decades later that really we couldn't have seen that Phelps was the bad guy. But I can see if 30 years ago if we were watching it and we were as young as we were, I was 15 in 96. I think that's when it came out. I probably didn't have the stones or the antenna to pick up based on Phelps's facial expression that something was up with the guy. That's the one thing I noticed, that a lot of bad guys don't do a good job of not tipping their hand. But you could tell by certain gestures and the way they word things. And this was, by the way, fresh off my binging Jack Ryan's final season. When I thought about who were the players, like you could tell kind of how, based on the story and the dialogue you hear and the facial expressions, you can like, okay, that guy's got something up to him. And then until later in the season, I had a feeling that the lady, if you've watched the last season of Jack Ryan, I'm just saying there's a lady in that last season. You kind of think there was something fishy, or you know that she was a player, but you didn't know to what extent. That's what was missing in the rest of the Mission Impossible installments. You lose that dynamic, because as bad a job Phelps or John Voight's character, how bad he was at not tipping his hand, you still kind of figured, well, who's who? And that's what's missing in a lot of these spy thrillers, and that's why I don't know if I am going to watch MI7 again. I might buy the medium just because, okay, that was solid. I'll likely buy the 4K if it is there for MI1, or the original Mission Impossible. Maybe the 6 and 5 if I find them really worth my time, but no. I don't, and it was interesting because Retro Blasting did a live stream on talking about good espionage films, and I realized after watching the first one, it's like, yeah, we don't get that nowadays. We clearly know who the bad guy is, and it's just like, what's the outcome? Yeah. Although I have, go ahead.
It's a very immediate gratification kind of concept now for a lot of these films. the audience. I mean, I would pay attention to a film if I could, and you know, there's nuance and these sorts of things that you pick up on. But today's audience don't want that. They want an explosion. They want a highly choreographed fight. They want, you know, these sorts of things. It's such an immediate culture now. People don't play the long game. They don't have that. They don't invest in the story like that anymore. And it's the same with TV. The same with any kind of media now. I mean, even on YouTube, look at how many views shorts get compared to a long form video. You know, people don't want to invest in a story or a character, or they don't seem to anyway.
No.
Yeah, if it takes longer than 60 seconds, actually, if it takes longer than 15 seconds, then no one's really interested. I got two
Yeah,
kids. They watch YouTube shorts all the time, and yeah, they're just flicking through them.
yeah,
Yeah, they watch it for an hour or whatever, but then
Yeah, I'm just looking at the barrage of videos I placed within the last month or however much time. I started just, I don't know if I'm putting out feelers, but it's just stuff that I want to bring out and communicate to whoever was willing to watch. And you know, whether that's the 4-part Lego building thing I did, the Tears for Fears, which I have yet to compile the stuff for my weekend with my brother, a retrospective on that. The Tears for Fears concert I went to in Washington just last month, and that was a hoot. They still got it. But you know, especially when I do certain unboxings, like I finished my Rippaverse comic, Isom 1, then Stealing Solo. I don't know if you guys read indie comic books, but I started reading them, and I was more blown away by the sub stories included in Stealing Solo. It was like a bonus package from Jeff over at WCBS, and I was more blown away by the 3 bonus stories that were probably done much longer ago before he completed Stealing Solo. Like 2 of them, I felt like he could have continued on. Stealing Solo itself, it's got to be a movie of some sort, because if you listen to any of their podcasts, they can easily either make it an animation, or I would like to see them try this in real life. The question is, would Harrison Ford be willing to, quote, reprise his role as Han Solo and base it off of what the story builds it to be? So that blew me away. And then Isom number 1, I just, going back to my liking a good story, I appreciate his willingness to build the universe, because there are 3 players, at least as far as what I've read in my mind. There are 3 main players in that whole universe, and it's just going to be interesting to see what number 2 is going to bring. And by golly, from all the comic book nerd talk I've been exposed to, sounds like DC and Marvel have fallen off that cliff where it's not worth buying new comic books. I don't know about if any of you guys read any of the comic books nowadays, but just hearing, especially Jeff over at WCBS nerd out, and then some of the people he has on there, they nerd out. I'm like, yeah, I should start reading the older comic books, because there's something to be, if you say you're a Spider-Man fan, you have to include the comic books, the TV shows, and maybe some ways the figures, or at least on some level, if you want to say that you're a Spider-Man fan, you got to expose yourself to all the aspects surrounding Spider-Man: comics, figures, video games, and the cartoons. And
well, I feel a bit like a fraud, because I'm a big Supergirl fan,
Okay.
and I've got over 100 Supergirl comics, and I
Okay.
haven't looked at any of them. I haven't read a single one of them.
Oh no! Hey,
I know.
I'm just putting that out there because I know people like to poo-poo this notion of tradition, but part of tradition is you collect every perspective. And no, there's nothing like in church speak. There's no person that will say this and that. Yeah, like that's canonical. So my joke over at Mr. H's review was, hey, what if they did hold a Star Wars ecumenical council? I'd be interested to see who would be the players and what would they decide as canon. Because I joked also in another stream, who died and made George Lucas Pope of the Star Wars universe? Yeah, it's his baby, but there's been so much out there to say, well, wait a minute, hold off here. Let's bring everybody together and fight this out. Not through fisticuffs, but through discussion.
I think George Lucas made a big mistake selling to Disney. I think that was a real mistake.
Was that comment he made, because from what I understand, he pretty much shooed the entire EU in a single statement. Was that before Disney? It might have been.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did give his blessing to some of it, but I don't know. I mean, Disney have ruined it, haven't they?
Yeah, those, the newest trilogy was not best.
No, but I don't hate that. I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do. It does get a lot of hate, and I can understand why, and I see those points of view, and I respect people's sort of point of view that they. Oh, I'm getting a delay. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Personally speaking, and I know it might be a bit of a controversial opinion, I found the sequel trilogy easier to watch than the prequel trilogy. I found the prequels slow, stumbling. I didn't think they were that good. At the time they were okay, but I recently watched all 9 films a few months ago, and I started with episode 1 and went all the way through, and I must admit that first trilogy I really struggled to get through. I was thinking, come on, just get on with it. It was so ponderous. There were some good moments in it, don't get me wrong. I mean, the Darth Maul fight scene, the clone troopers, the fight on where was it that they all had that big massive fight in the arena?
Geonosis,
that was all okay, but I did struggle to get through. I then obviously watched the original trilogy, no problems, found them just as entertaining now as I did when I was a kid. And then I watched the sequel trilogy, and okay, there were some big plot holes. There were some moments where I had my head in my hands thinking, oh no, that's terrible. But actually, I found them more watchable than the prequels. There's action. There's a lot going on. They're more exciting. I don't hate them. I don't hate the sequel trilogy.
I think where it went wrong was that they had the first one, the not Rise of Skywalker. What was the first of the treatment?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. That was it. That came out, but there'd been so long. We'd waited so long for a Star Wars movie that came out, and it was actually really good, and it hit all the nostalgia things. And you think, okay, great. I'm sitting in the cinema watching Star Wars again. And then they just started hitting us constantly. Oh, here's another Star Wars thing. Here's another Star Wars thing. Here's another one, and you end up with a Han Solo movie, and it was just too much. The thing that makes them really good is you have to wait for them. So now with Disney on Disney Plus, you have the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is a really good show, but then you had Andor. Andor was also a really good show. more political and not really for kids. And then, but the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show was awful. It was such a
Yeah,
waste of a character. I don't know if you guys saw it, but
yeah,
I didn't see it. I think I saw little clips of it online, but
yeah.
I haven't had Disney Plus since
Oh,
after what happened with Gina Carano. There was no way I was going to
yeah,
subscribe.
really.
exactly. Yeah, that was also something terrible. Yeah.
I, I,
Disney, it's just a big money making machine, isn't it? They're just gonna.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't like the because there was the Mandalorian first 2 seasons were great. That was excellent. I thought, well,
yeah,
okay, maybe we're onto something here.
right.
Then we had what was next? Book of Boba Fett, was that the next one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
See, I'd
that
actually forgotten
that
about
really
that.
wasn't very good. Really wasn't very good. It did have good moments in it, but it also had a lot of very dodgy moments in. I didn't like that very much.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's the
didn't
thing with
like
me and
Obi-Wan particularly, and I didn't actually like Andor either. I
Oh
I
no.
don't think anything happened in Andor. I'm not sure anything happened at all.
yeah, and it's funny because I made a comment saying that you could. I tossed a question out there, and I don't. It might have fallen off deaf ears, but I just think, what are components making a prequel worth our time, especially when it comes to this idea that you kind of know what happens at the end of the day. Whereas Rogue One, it didn't have any of the players except for that Darth Vader and the Leia bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Other than that, it was like these guys that made that thing happen, and you want to tell their story, which I can get behind. Now that we've got the cast of characters via Rogue One, I can see where Andor may have dropped the ball because we know what ends up with. I think the character's name. I'm trying to think. Andor. Yeah. That character, we know what happens to him at the end of the day. Thank you, Rogue One. But then uh, it's like if you want to explain away things, you got to do it in a way that makes sense. Otherwise, it's gonna be like we know what it ends up happening. So why
well,
make a
yeah.
prequel? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dean from All Things 80s was really hit the nail on the head with this. He said, "There's no jeopardy because we know what happens to the characters. There's no jeopardy. It's as simple as that. We know what happens to them in the future. We know how their story arc ends. So there's nothing to invest in the character because you know that there's no risk.
Yeah,
You
but you
know
do
when
have a lot of. So I was going to say you do have a lot of side characters, and you don't know what's going to happen to them, and you don't know how they fit in with the story. So yeah, you may know
yeah,
that
that's true.
Cassian's going to die, but what's going to happen to the side characters?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was more thinking of Obi-Wan, where you see Vader and Obi-Wan having the fight. Well, we all know that neither of them are going to die, and it kind of just takes the edge off of it. I mean, it did for me anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but
It was more meaningful. Did you see Rebels, the animated
uh,
series?
no, I
No.
I got about halfway through the Clone Wars and gave up with that, and I don't think I ever
Oh,
watched Rebels.
I've recently watched Rebels because I'm getting ready for the Ahsoka series that's coming out. But
Yeah.
in Rebels, they had a scene where Ahsoka fights Darth Vader and then realizes that Darth Vader is actually Anakin and Anakin was her master. Then that had a lot more emotional heft to it than what
Oh,
happened in the Obi-Wan series.
ah, Okay.
And-
Yeah, that
and-
sounds
and-
like that might be quite interesting.
Yeah, and what I love about the Mandalorian and or a little bit is that they're characters that are not the main characters going off and having adventures, and that's how I used to play on my toys. I always used to make my own adventures, have my own characters. I never played Star Wars. I would never recreate the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I always had them off as space pirates and bounty hunters, and I had an Endor. Han Solo was always my main character, with a Bespin Luke as his sidekick,
Oh,
and they'd fly around. Then they'd fly around in a snowspeeder. That was their vehicle, and they'd always
Oh,
come
cool.
across random bad guys or whatever fantasy I was going to make them that play day. But that's why I like these new series, because it's like they're creating stuff that I used to make when I was a kid.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Santara makes a good point here. She's saying that why make a prequel when you know the end result, and there's no great prequel films. Let's think. Are there any good prequel films?
Godfather Part 2. It's got
I
half
still
of it's
need to see the
prequel.
Godfather movies. That's one franchise I never got into.
Oh,
I saw the
well,
first two, but I didn't watch the third one.
third one's not really fantastic.
Yeah, I heard the third Godfather isn't that great. The first two, well, the first one's good, the second one's good, but the third one not so good.
Right.
Yeah, but I can't really off the top of my head think of any proper prequel movies that were fantastic.
Joe DeBecky's saying that that Andor filled a void, and that he also liked Rogue One as well. I must admit, I did like Rogue One. When I saw that, I was very impressed. I was expecting to be very disappointed with it, and actually it finished, and I wanted to watch it immediately again. I really did enjoy Rogue One, I must admit. I would say I'd probably go out on a limb and say Rogue One is probably maybe my second favorite Star Wars movie. I would say Empire Strikes Back is my favorite, and then I'd possibly have to say Rogue One. That might be blasphemy, in which case I would say it's Empire, then Jedi, then New Hope, and then Rogue One. But certainly Rogue One is up there for me, and I've rewatched that several times, and I probably have seen Rogue One as much as I've seen Star Wars and Empire and Jedi, if not more, perhaps. I really think it was a good film.
Yeah, I really liked Rogue One, but I think I went into that one. I was really hyped. I thought it was going to be one of the best Star Wars movies ever made when I went to cinema to see it, and it just missed something when I went to see it. I've seen it since, and I agree it is a really good movie, but I think it's let down by the CGI in it. Grand Moff Tarkin and Leia. Princess Leia at the end of that movie is just hideous. I mean, what was that thing?
Do you think
they perhaps could have spent another month doing that, couldn't they? Perhaps.
I think they used two different actors for Leia. They used a male actor and a female actor, and they put Carrie Fisher's likeness over those two different actors, and then they took bits of her audio from the original Star Wars and just dubbed it over.
Okay. Yeah. It's the process just wasn't quite there. It's the uncanny valley, and it's also with the new Indiana Jones movie when they've de-aged Harrison Ford, and the beginning part of the movie is a young Indiana Jones, but unfortunately he's got an old man's voice.
Yeah.
And they decided that they were going to film Harrison Ford and then make him younger, but he walks like an old man.
Oh,
they
really?
should have used a different. Yeah, they should have used a different actor and just put Harrison Ford's. younger face on him.
Oh,
Yeah.
have you
It's still a
seen?
good sequence.
Have you seen The Irishman?
No, but I've heard about it.
Because for me, that was done really well. And they de-aged Al Pacino, um, um, Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci, and they de-aged all of them. And I thought it worked really well. You couldn't really tell.
Okay.
But that's not an action film. So and I see what you're saying about the movement of Harrison Ford. Yeah, that probably looked a bit peculiar. But was the actual de-aging CGI, was that done well? Did it look convincing or?
Yeah. When I went into the movie, I went in trying to find a fault with that CGI. But it was really good, and until he spoke with an old man's voice. Don't really notice the de-aging too much on it. And there's one little bit where he runs across the top of a train, and then that looks like a video game.
Really?
It's just an unnatural movement of a CGI character running across a train. But then if you go back and watch the original movies, so if you watch The Last Crusade, the special effects in that were also awful. So
Yeah. Well, I think I'll still give it a watch though at some point. I need to watch Crystal Skull. Although by all accounts that is awful, but I haven't seen it yet. So
Crystal Skull, I went to cinema to see that, and I was massively hyped to see it. And I came out of that film just feeling off, like something was wrong. And it took me like a day or two to realize that was disappointment. It was a massive feeling of disappointment with that movie. I felt crushed by it. And I've never really been able to put my finger on why. It's just that movie, it just didn't work for me. There are some people that like it.
Story or?
No, I think the story was actually quite good, but again, there was CGI, a lot of CGI in it, a lot of cheesy acting in it, and the cinematography is really weird. It's like everything's got this yellowy glow to it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, yeah. So I would say, yeah, watch it. But again, maybe again, if you go in thinking you're going to be disappointed, you might like it.
Delvian saying disappointment is too kind a word.
I just find it unnecessary to extend a franchise's existence. Like, you inexplicably devalue the franchise. So I think I've made a little bit of a wave in certain chats where I said, I may be disappointed that we don't get anything new from within the Robotech Macross world, but at the same time, I'm glad they didn't do anything in the last 20 years, 30 years, because I have a go-to. I don't think I have to show the entirety of that Robotech. I don't have to show the entirety of the Robotech universe to say, I'm just going to show the Macross, because based on all the retrospectives I've listened to, I'm only showing like Tim is flashing. That is the only segment of the Robotech world I would show. And I'm glad they didn't do anything to try to improve it. They didn't try to extend the story. And yes, there were subsequent movies and films in the 80s and 90s. But beyond those, Hollywood hasn't.
What's that one that Tim had? Is that the original?
Yeah, this is Robotech the Macross Saga. So it started as Macross in Japan, and then when it was brought over here, it became Robotech the Macross Saga.
Yeah, and Retro Blasting has a retrospective on how that came about. And a lot of the people that did retrospectives did talk about how, because of certain regulations in the industry at the time, your cartoon couldn't be without a certain number of episodes in order for it to be carried. And even though that was done and it's a commendable effort, having watched the original Japanese of both Macross and the third installment, I didn't care for the second one. Again, going back to my point about animation aesthetic, I didn't care for the second installment's art. Macross had better art. The third installment, which is actually a separate, the thing about it is these were 3 separate, unrelated series being glued together for the American audience. But and I don't think Robotech heads are gonna beat me upside the head because I only choose to show Macross. Because to me, that's as faithful to the Japanese as one could have it. Although I might do a retrospective on a certain character dynamic involving what are supposedly cousins. And I'm going to go to the history book or find a way to look at marriage laws in the 80s in the US and the 80s of Japan. I might have to rewatch the Japanese version to see if they were dubbed as cousins also. Because I was just thinking, this passed the American censors of all the things that they decide to censor. Like, I guess there were some segments in America that were still marrying cousins, maybe. I don't know. I come from a different milieu where that wasn't. I don't know. Maybe in the Philippines they did do that, but as far as I know, dude, that's cousins. Cousins. And you're talking about a cousin proposing marriage to another cousin. Okay, that passed American censors. Don't know who was in the censorship board at the time, but okay, they let that fly. So that is like one angle that I needed to explore because, like, yeah, that's right. And Homeboy, before that proposal, he just went up and kissed his cousin. I don't know. That is the only thing that
I've never seen any of that. I'm completely out of my depth when it comes to that. I've got no idea.
Yeah,
I'm the same. Never seen that. It sounds interesting.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. The interesting thing about that saga, and Retro Blasting was smart to point that out. And I watched it again recently. That, like the Batman animated series, it could touch multiple audience points. Like, even for someone, when I was a kid, I liked it. I liked it for different reasons. Now that I am as old as I am, I still like it. Would I have wanted them to inject more of the Japanese plot line? Sure. Because in the American dialogue, they don't make it clear that the female and male versions of the aliens depicted, they're known as Zendradi. But if you go to the Japanese plot, they were actually warring factions, men versus women. And so,
yeah, it was Clash of the Bionoids that this one like kids home entertainment video released. It was the Zentradi were the female and the Zentradi were the male in that version. So it had the males and the females were segregated.
No, sounds interesting. Never seen it.
No,
guys,
I'm not familiar with that at all.
I'm gonna have to love you and leave you because I have to get up in 5.5 hours for work. So
well, it's good to see you, Si. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for stopping by, Si.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. It was a really good chat. I really enjoyed it. I'll try and stop by more often. Bye bye.
Hey, bye,
Puppy says bye.
Oh, snap at the pound puppy, no?
It was nice to see you all. Okay, bye bye.
Okay.
See you, man. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Okay, so
Oh, it was
see if I
nice to
can.
see Puppy.
There's a way I can fix this layout. There, that looks a little bit better.
You're looking very laid back there, Tim.
Yeah. I always get this way when I'm in a live stream, especially when I've done like karaoke live streams. If I'm not singing, I'll just be
Wow.
laying back in the chair.
Excellent. So, did you get anything this week, Tim, or not?
Yeah, I think it was mainly these two figures came
Yeah.
through eBay, and then I bought this Han Solo from an eBay seller,
Yeah, that's
but
cool.
I didn't think the order went through on that one, so I accidentally ordered it from another seller as well, so I bought two of them.
Oh, okay. Well, at
So
least you can keep one.
I tried to cancel it, but it was too late.
Oh, well,
And
you
then
can keep one on card.
there was one other thing that I did get. Was that this book I've been wanting that was out of print that got back into print last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, The Frankenstein Legend by Donald F. Clute. It's a tribute to Mary
Oh,
Shelley and Boris Karloff.
oh wow.
And yeah, Xantara, it was during the pandemic. There were some karaoke live streams. First, there was one that it was mainly Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge did with a few other YouTubers, where it was just mainly 3 or 4 of them. You requested for them to sing solos, but then Jedi Bill, who has his own YouTube channel, set up an open mic karaoke that he mainly had just done on Saturdays late at night, but I think he sometimes does on Wednesday nights as well.
So, how does karaoke live stream? How does that work? Does the host play the music and put the lyrics up on the screen, and then the guests take it in turns to sing, or what? How does that work?
Well, usually the host will pick a karaoke song off of YouTube that he'll sing, and then he'll have a StreamYard link where he'll invite people from the chat into StreamYard to join the panel, and then it's up to whoever joins the panel. If they're able to, they can click on share. They can click on a setting in StreamYard that'll let them share their screen, and then they can pick out whatever song that they've got lined up to sing, or otherwise the host will help the person out and search for their song.
Okay. Okay. So, do you participate when you go on these streams? Do you sing as well?
Yeah, I usually participate.
And what kind of things do you sing?
Just all different types of like pop songs. Seems like I mainly do songs from the 80s and 90s, sometimes some 60s and 70s, but lately I've been doing 80s and 90s pop tunes. But it seemed like the last time we did it on a Saturday night, we had people showing up at the last minute, so we kept going longer. And I think seemed like it went for like 7 or 8 hours almost. So I
Wow,
slept in
really?
the next day.
Wow.
Because we had one guy who was always getting off work usually about the time we end. So that guy, he has his own keyboard, so he can play by ear and sing.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, I don't think I'd be very good at that.
Yeah, he just seems to have a natural talent for playing and singing by ear.
Oh. No, I don't think I've ever. I don't think I've ever done karaoke. Maybe I have once, but I can't remember. I don't think so. But I used to be in a band for years, so that's weird. But yeah, I've never done karaoke.
Yeah, it was something that just kind of got started on YouTube during the pandemic and lockdowns,
Right.
so
Okay.
I don't think it's as popular as it on YouTube as it was during the lockdowns, though. Because I
Right.
think there's some places where they are doing it in bars, again, in public.
Okay. Yeah.
Why, you don't like to sing at all, Jason? You don't like to do, you don't like to go into a bar and do karaoke?
I think I'm probably with Jason on that one.
Well, I put the videos out there. They're on my channel. I did two numbers, one from police, one from YouTube. And then I'm about to put the one up where I backed up my brother. He did Careless Whisper. And this was live band karaoke, mind you. So it's just like a totally different experience because there's one level of stage fright and then there's the other level of stage fright where you're hearing the band go off with their instruments and you're trying to sing your lyrics and you're not sure if the microphone is working, you know. So I got that going. It's a different experience and it's just a way for me to get over my stage fright and live a quasi dream vicariously through that karaoke band because I guess like I didn't want to admit that I wanted to be a performer, but I just didn't think I had the skills, you know. SingStar. Well, when the Wii was a big thing, they had the Wii karaoke game, and my family, friends, and I were using that to sing karaoke at times. But if you're within like an Asian community, they might have something called a magic mic, where it's a microphone you attach to the TV, and it has a catalog of songs on it already.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So it's fun exercise. You know, the thing for me is I do sing by ear mainly. I stopped instrumental training after fourth grade. Like you learn the first instrument, and then you could go on in fifth grade to do orchestra or band instruments. You're gonna do the clarinet, or you're gonna do violin. I just said,
Okay.
forget it. Nope.
Oh.
I'm done after the recorder because I just felt instruments too hard at the time.
Yeah.
Singing,
Is
yeah, go ahead.
learning an instrument, is that compulsory in US education?
I went to a fine arts academy, so it was kind of compulsory that you be introduced to those things. So you got music, and then we also had a unit in photography, so that people could partake in. So you
Right.
actually you actually do certain things with camera. I wouldn't trade that experience for the world because we did, because it was dubbed Fine Arts Academy. We did painting and all that as well, so that was fun.
Okay. Oh. I don't
Not sure
remember
it was quite. Oh,
learning
go
an
ahead.
instrument at school. I don't remember learning an instrument at school. I
Oh,
don't think
okay.
we had to. We had to do music lessons, but I think it was up to the students whether you actually learned to play anything or not.
Right. Okay.
And then
Yeah,
I just dropped it as soon as I was able to drop it. I dropped it, so I never really did music much.
I get it. It's kind of funny thinking back, because my mom wanted us to be in some sort of science or engineering field because stable income is still a thing in the minds of Asian parents. And and she sends us
Yeah.
to a fine arts academy for all of our primary schooling years. And who would have thunk it?
Right.
But That's the recorder. That's what I said no more after. That was the instrument we all started with. And then good riddance after I learned the flutophone,
no,
as it was called. Yeah.
I never learned a recorder. I've got one, but I don't know how to play it. Yeah. I can barely play the drums, but I just do that for fun. But yeah, I'm not particularly that musical. I was the songwriter and the vocalist in my bands when I was sort of in my late teens to sort of mid 20s. But I never learned to play anything.
Hmm.
Can you play anything, Tim?
I can play some keyboard. So I took some piano and I took some organ.
Oh, I had piano lessons when I was very young, but I quit them because I remember it was on a Monday afternoon, and that was also the same time that Masters of the Universe was on. So I did about, I don't know, half a dozen lessons, maybe a few more. And then I decided that I would rather watch He-Man than do piano lessons, so I quit the piano lessons, and then I think 2 weeks later the He-Man series finished anyway. So yeah.
So how's your pie coming along in the oven?
Well, I turned the oven off because I think it was just about there, so I think it's probably all right. I'll check it a bit later and maybe brown it off under the grill just to give it a bit more of a golden topping, maybe. But I think it'll be all right. I shouldn't really be eating fruit pies because I'm a diabetic. So
well, I think you could. Diabetics, I think, can have fructose, the fruit that's naturally in. It's this type of sugar that's naturally in fruits. It's just, I think
it still stuffs you up because I'm a type 1 diabetic. So yeah, any kind of sugar for me is no good. Yes, Santara. Yes, I have, I suppose. Yeah. I suppose you've got to look for the positives, and I guess I did put it to good use, I suppose. If talking to a plastic skeleton every week is good use. Yeah. So what have you got coming up, Tim? Anything exciting to tell us?
I just have a dance class tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific. It was originally going to be today, but then it got moved to tomorrow. And then don't know what else is going on. I know Analog Toys, Tony Roberts is doing some type of toy live stream on Friday night, which will be 4:30 p.m. here. So it'll be late afternoon for me, but it'll be evening for just about everybody else.
Well, that'll be very late for me here. 4:30. That'll be half past midnight for me.
Yeah, so it should be Saturday, really early Saturday morning for you.
Yeah. Is that just a random toy live stream, or is there a particular topic? Or
well, let me check. I had, because I'm on his Patreon. Eon, but I think this is just a public live stream he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's a public live stream. He's doing holy toy grails.
Okay.
So I guess it's just, yeah, live stream all about toy holy grails. I'll be discussing some of my most wanted toys as well as showcasing some of the gems already in my collection.
Okay. I don't like the term Holy Grail. I prefer to use the term White Whale, because I think it's a bit more. I think it's a bit more, because a Holy Grail is, to me, a Holy Grail would be something that I'm not sure whether it exists or not. You know, something that is very hard to find, very almost unsure whether that thing exists or not.
Well, I think it's just an American term. It's more of an Americanized term.
I can understand the term white whale, because to me that's more like something you're chasing. You know, it's something you know exists and you want to get it in your collection.
I don't think enough people would understand that, though. It's just, I think it's just Holy Grail is a more common term that more people are familiar with.
Right. Yeah. No, I've always thought of stuff as being more of a white whale. For me, that my Holy Grail was the Ghostbusters Firehouse, but it's not rare. It's not difficult to find. So to me, it doesn't seem like a Holy Grail, but it was just something that had eluded me for a long time that I've been chasing for a while. So for me, the term white whale was a bit more appropriate. But I guess the Moby Dick reference might be lost on a lot of people.
Yeah, not enough people are going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, unless you've read the book Moby Dick or you've seen the film, not enough people will understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got my Holy Grail. Have you got yours? Did you have a Holy Grail that you were after that you managed to get?
Well, it was this book because I had checked out this book once from the public library a number of years ago, but then the public library copy got stolen and the book was out of print. And it took till last year for this to get back in print. So
right,
I figured, well, the library's probably never going to buy this book again, and so was either track down an out of print copy, or I just waited for years upon years for it to come back into print. So I bought a copy when I could. And Joe Becky has something say. I say grail, but a white whale is rare, while the grail or a grail should be a one-of-a-kind thing. I'll say grail out of habit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a grail should be something that is, you know, like a one-off, or something that is. I mean, I would say if somebody got a rocket firing Boba Fett, I would say, yeah, Holy Grail. That's probably a fair term, but I do prefer the term white whale, because it's something that's achievable. You know it exists. You're chasing it. You've just got to get it. But I guess the terms are interchangeable, and you're right, Tim. Most people do use Holy Grail, and that is the most widely recognised term for something that you're after.
Yeah, think of it like a treasure hunt, because that's how I think of Holy Grails, like a treasure hunt, like Indiana Jones' Last Crusade. It just seems like a treasure hunt, so that's
right. Yeah. Yeah. Is Lester still with us? Are you still there, Lester?
Yep, I'm listening. Just
yeah. And Joe,
yeah.
Joe Becky, you're right. I think I think Donald F. Glut did write the novelization of Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, excellent. Did you have a Holy Grail, Lester?
No, I just know about the Holy Grail through various means. Don't know if Indiana Jones was the first one. I think it might have been MacGyver.
Oh, okay.
Then, of course, Monty Python, Quest for the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
That was the other one. And I
Yeah.
forget what other channels about Holy Grail. And I did see that on Analog Toys' post. And I'm still waiting for Retro's Indy 5 review, which is going to be the most, to me anyway, based on how he's teasing us with his installments. It's going to be quite in depth.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be quite
Yeah.
in depth.
Yeah.
But I was thinking back on what's the guy's name who joined us? Retro Toy. How do you pronounce it? Was C or is it just
Sorry.
Retro Toy Psy. I think it was Psy.
Sorry. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
He said something about playing with toys, and I go, yeah, we don't do that, but my creative juices just get more and more developed as I start putting stuff on my channel. And what's also pushed me to the backlog was how in depth did I want to make my thought piece. I could take it so many different ways that I would not get it up on screen, or I wouldn't bother working on getting that up sooner than later, because every single new idea would come to my mind, because I have all these other figures that I could play with, and I can do like, so if you're familiar with Way of the Dragon, the Bruce Lee movie with Chuck Norris, and there was a certain scene, and I think I teased you guys what I was going to start it with, the guy who says, "Who could do karate better than Japanese?" I have a Jada Ryu figure that I'm just thinking like, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to lampoon this scene? And yeah, it might not be PC, because I can flash the Ryu figure and I can say, bruh, gotta look in the mirror there because you're not even Japanese. And I could say, well, what if there was an alternative ending to Way of the Dragon, where Chuck is the hero, taking off from different discussion points about how in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indy did not win, but he did not lose by just simply not looking at the Ark. I think that was the object he had to keep his eyes closed for.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking with the Chuck Norris meme, everyone knows their Chuck Norris memes. I still think of he doesn't do push-ups, he does earth downs. Okay. And so I'm thinking, what would be the meme if Chuck Norris isn't buried in the earth, but rather the earth takes him in to save itself? So I don't know, just things that I could think of. It's just a matter of what do I want to do with the clips I do have, because I have Way of the Dragon on my hard drive. I can look at I can do some image captures or something that I might just say, what would an alternative ending look like? It's like, what if the Japanese, the question of, like, that question of, like, I'm not sure if you're the one that should be asking that question. You're Korean, pal. Because in real life, he's the actor who played the Japanese karate guy is Korean.
Okay, yeah.
He's like, bro, I don't think that question's meant for you, because, like, I think you're Korean. And then I have peg stands for spare figures that didn't come with a peg stand, or I think I told you the story about the one I got from a Bruce Lee figure from my sister. The peg stand only has a single peg.
Yeah.
This is not going to work. So I got a pack from Action Force. Like I bought a pack of peg stands. And someone mentioned, why don't you do have your Rio figure stand on something so he's doing the dragon punch.
Yeah,
Or
that's
post
what.
it.
Yeah, I
was that-
remember asking you that last week. Yeah.
yeah, that was you. Okay, yeah. So I got the peg stands to do it if I want to do something close to that, or I just, you know, where he's like, so I can.
Speaking of that figure, I went and had a look at the Jada
Okay.
Street Fighter figures after the stream last week, and I very nearly bought some. So you almost cost me some money.
It is addicting, and if you find the right place, you can get it for a good price.
Yeah, they're nice figures as well.
The other thing, talking about creative juices, like I keep scheming how I want to portray Jeet Kune Do lessons with Street Fighter, because I can pose the Jada figures the way I want them to be posed, as well as I can make them pose.
Yeah,
like they can throw the straight punch, they can throw the hook punch, they can even do a corkscrew, they can do a shovel, they can do all the punches and kicks in Jeet Kune Do. Maybe not the inverted hook kick, but that wasn't my favorite kick anyway to do. I found some places where I could apply it, but no, not my kick. I still like the good old-fashioned JKD hook kick, which if you look up some clips of Longstreet, he does some JKD there. And if you know who 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser, I made a comment on his talk because he did a Toxic Tuesday with Way of the Dragon. I said, reading some of the interviews, Ted Wong, his last major student, Bruce's last major student, said that movie has the most JKD in it. Okay. And so I can pinpoint where the JKD moves are. And even in Fist of Fury, I can say, okay, yeah, that one is clearly a JKD move. Because I know what moves are JKD, and I can say, no, that one, that's for show. Those moves are for show. Because he does have a staple of moves that he does in all of his movies. Of moves that he does in all of his movies. But anyway, yep. So, and plus, I don't know, maybe I'm going to be inflammatory for certain people within the Bruce Lee world because I'll be voicing Ted Wong because I got to attend a few seminars with the guy, and he has a very distinct Chinese accent. And especially for the time I met him, he was in his 60s by then. So there you go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can also have my friend do some Cantonese voiceover, who's actually a white guy, but he worked for United for some time, and he had some close Chinese friends, and they start, conversing in Cantonese, and so I take him along to a Cantonese restaurant, and he'll be yapping away in Cantonese, and he'll be blowing away the workers there. So we'll see what I have planned, but those juices, man, they just keep going how I want to do it.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not a shill for Jada. I buy their stuff, and I hear word of mouth, like they say, these are good figures. Okay. And I got my Ryu figure for like $30. And I don't know how much that guy is paying to stock it. Because I've worked in commerce before, and margins are real. So I don't know if he's making money off of that Ryu figure or losing money off of that Ryu figure. Because if Jada's charging about 40, 50 easily, and you're gonna charge me 30, I don't know. It came to me from LA, so who knows?
Okay.
Yeah. So there it is, and it looks like the game install. It just uploaded, so it'll be on my page pretty soon. It's got 3 hours according to YouTube of processing because based on how my resolution was, because I was using both of my monitors, and I have two 4K monitors, inspired by retroblasting, believe it or not, because he talked about films being originally, I forget what the process is, but basically they're shot in resolutions higher than 4K, so it's easier for certain movies to be turned into 4K disc. Rather, it's like this whole process of using a scan or something like that. I forget what the process is, but he explained it, and I go, Okay, if you say so, I'll look into that because I was, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I don't know what time it is in his area, but it sounds like it's pretty late. What time is it in your area, Monkey?
It's 5 to 11 p.m.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and you said you had to go to bed early, so
Yeah. I'm doing some teaching tomorrow morning, so I need to think about getting some shut eye.
you'll have to go to bed in like 5 minutes then, probably.
Yeah, probably. I'll think about doing that.
Cool.
But thanks for having us on, Tim. It's been good to chat.
I appreciate these chill streams, and yeah, it ran over the Disney earnings call that I'm probably gonna tap into. I don't know if the stream is still going, but Valiant, Renegade, and WDW Pro are covering the call that Disney is supposed to have about their finances, and it'll be interesting what they say. So
okay.
So we'll see. We'll see how that turned out.
Yeah.
Just because hearing the last two from Warner Brothers and Comcast were interesting. So it's like, yeah, the strike sucks, but we should be good till the end of 2024. That was pretty much their outlook based on their earnings. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right, Monkey Boy. We'll go.
Cool.
Go ahead and get some shut eye, and I'm going to get back to it and probably listening on that call that's still going on.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I'm gonna end here since it's just three of us now. So thank you all for joining me, Retro Toy Guy, Cy, Monkey Boy, and Lester. It's just the four of us today. So hope you can join me next time. Like to keep doing these Chillstream live streams Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right, dude. Well, good to see you both, and I'll see you soon.
See you then.
Take care. Bye.
You too. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, and thank you again, Monkey Boy. So I'm going to end here. Thank you for watching my Chillstream live stream. I should be getting back to doing regular videos soon. I do have a dance class tomorrow morning. So thank you for watching.